Hello, everybody. This is Chris. Welcome. We'll give everybody a couple of minutes to make their way into the meeting. So just sit tight. We'll probably get started at a minute or so after the hour. Okay. Well, welcome, everybody. Welcome to the New Features webinar. I'm very glad you're able to attend today. Let me go ahead and get us kind of kicked off, and let's do that by taking a look, because I think many of you have probably been watching us over a sustained period of time. So I'll go ahead and share a few things about where we've been, and then I'll show you where we're going. For those of you who have been watching us for a couple of years now, you know our V1 back in August 17 looked like this. This is our version 1 product. And we were testing a lot of ideas back then, obviously. Pretty busy interface here, a lot going on. What we learned kind of coming back out of this, out of this phase was we established a goal for ourselves, which was we wanted to continuously deliver the very best client experience on the planet, right? And we want to do that year after year. So our thought was, if you can make a client experience that really nails it, then anybody should be able to support it with really no cost. And so that's what we intended to do, and that's what we've done. Our big metric was, at the time in which we see we can take on customer support, that means we will have succeeded, because we can do that at a relatively efficient, low cost, which also means there's a lot less work for the end clients to do because they get it, right? So that's what we intended to do with V2, and that's what we have delivered since then. A simple interface that people understand. We took over customer support more than a year ago, and it's been very effective. So that was really our V2. We launched that in 2018, August, so about a year ago. And over the last year, we've been really working on solving a number of these points, which I'm showing you here. These are all things we wanted to really deliver in that V2, which was clients coming back and saying, I didn't check my email. Clients saying, can we resend a file? Internally, firm members, firm employees seeing one another because they want visibility across the firm. A lot of those things are just taking a lot of time, obviously. Clients want to use email, and they just want to send you anything, right? Here are all my passwords. Doesn't get much worse than that. On the other end of the spectrum, some clients are really, really quite astute. And if you send them a link, they'll say, should I click the link? Just takes more time out of your day too, right? And then I'd like to assist, but I'm not in the loop. Can you fill me in? I can't log into the portal. What's your mobile number? I'll text you. A lot of those things are all kind of standard questions that everybody's getting. So these are things we think we've addressed well thus far. So our existing clients obviously are in the accounting profession typically. So there's a very strong forcing function for us to deliver, considerably more value year on year, right? So, so we know about wasted time, we know about risky business, we know about customer friction. Our customers are pushing us for more. Who can see a document? Can we replace our existing file system with Liscio? Can my clients add coworkers, right? I use a bookkeeper. Can I attach a file to a note that my client's seeing it? A lot of new waves of things that'll be continue to add value. So we're looking forward to doing that. And our next big step, which is a brand new module in our product, is called FileSafe. This is file storage for you and for your clients. And it's with a twist. It's going to allow you to basically store any and all permanent files in your firm in Liscio. They'll be private to the firm. At the same time, you'll be able to choose whom files are shared with outside of the firm. So one repository for all your documents, clear access in terms of who can see them, and a big win in terms of efficiency. Not so much downloading and uploading documents anymore. Documents are received here, etc. And I'll show you exactly how all this works. So major new feature. Before I show you what FileSafe does and how it works, I'd like to kind of walk you through what we've seen in the industry. So our goal with FileSafe is a big one. We want to deliver the very best file management platform on the planet, right? So our key metric for this is we want to be so good that you as a firm and your clients, if they choose, can replace whatever filing system they're using with this one place, okay? So when we set this out there as a target, we wanted to make sure we're looking at the very best document management storage benchmarks out there. So we looked at Dropbox, we looked at Box, Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive. We also looked at some of the smaller players, ShareFile, Thomson Reuters, et cetera. Not so much innovation kind of on that second tier. But we did look at them. And this is largely what we saw. I'll give you an example here. I'll start out with Dropbox. Traditional file structure, you'll see Liscio. We use this internally. We have 3 members in the Liscio folder. If we take a look at the 3 members, here they are. But look a little more closely. 5 members on that file, right? This isn't uncommon either. We can take a look at Box. We've used Box as well. Consultant Service Provider Agreement 2018, 3 people on it. If we look at that Consultant Service Provider Agreement 2018, 4 people on it, right? So for those of you who have used ShareFile, for example, you know that if you want to add a 4th person to a 3-person folder, you have to create an entirely new folder, right? There's no real easy way around this with the existing file structures. And the same thing is happening in OneDrive. It's also happening in Google. I think Google is smart. What they did was they just said, look, it's shared. You have to drill into each file to tell how it is shared. So we know there's some major structural limitations to the file structure folder. And we also know that all of these run on email pretty much, right? This is an email. This is pretty typical. I think the bad guys are really good at understanding how these systems work and how to send an email that looks like them. This is a legit email that went to my email box from ShareFile. Similar messages were used to steal people's personal information. Avoid clicking links, downloading attachments, or replying with personal information. Right, so because everybody's using email as the medium to communicate, the bad guys know how to leverage that to put a nefarious link in there, a malicious link, and now they can get whatever they want to get onto the person's system. So major security risk continues with regard to these DMSs and the fact that they are reliant on email to get the message out that there's something new, okay? So we kind of put this together and we think about FileSafe. What we walked away with was oversharing of documents remains a constant risk for firms, right? So that's pretty consistent. Existing file solutions continue to require email to communicate. And that means that firms are ending up with documents in multiple places, right? A firm might have documents in email, in a portal, in a document management system, in e-signature system, et cetera. I think a lot of our customers come back saying, hey, can we clean up that mess? Can we resolve that mess? I would say that's probably even worse for clients because clients aren't in there every day and they forget where everything is, right? They forgot that, oh, we used a portal last year. I got to go there. What's the name of the portal, right? They can't even think about it because it's inconsistent in terms of experience and infrequent in terms of use. So what we want to do is we want to basically solve for that, okay? And here's what our key takeaway. Folder-based systems are built for storage, right? If you're using a folder-based structure, Box sounds like a folder structure. Just put it in the box. Dropbox, put it in the box, right? It's to be basically cold storage. If you want to have something more collaborative, that requires a new way of thinking. And that's where FileSafe comes in. So let me go ahead and show you. Let's just take a look at FileSafe. Okay, I'm going to go over here. This is our test environment. So you probably haven't seen our solution a ton, but we have this file section here as a firm. Okay, so the firm file section, I'm just going to use the upload file here because it's pretty simple to do. What you would do is if you want to bring a file into us, you can go ahead and type in your client's name. I'll put in Christine Client. She's with Pied Piper. Okay, we'll add her to the file recipient list. If I have another person on here that I want to put into the system, right? I'll put in Han Solo. No results found. Han, somebody new, hasn't been added to our context yet. We'll go ahead and hit the plus button. Automatically divides the first and last name. I'll put in the email, chris+han@liscio.me. I'll go ahead and save that. We can add an account to it or not, doesn't matter. And then I'll go ahead and put in 2019. This will be a miscellaneous file. And then I'll go ahead and attach the file. So I'll pick a file here at random. We're bringing in a PNG file. It'll convert to a PDF here in just a moment. And when it does that, it's going to put the file name right here. Okay? You have a choice. If you want to send this out to everybody, let's say this is a draft tax return, for example, you can actually put a message here saying, here is your draft return. Please review today. Okay? We can do it that way, or if you just want to quietly and silently upload the message, just hit do not send message, and off it goes. And you can put multiple files, obviously, on the same upload feature. So I'll go ahead and click upload now. We'll let it do its thing. There it is. Okay, I'll go ahead and rename this real quick. Draft return. Okay, you'll see that Han Solo has access to it. So does Christine Client, and so do I. Very transparent. If you ever want to go ahead and add or remove people from the file, go ahead and click on edit and add or remove them. Super simple, super clean. And now things aren't having to get uploaded and downloaded as much anymore, right? You'll be able to share out without having to pull it out of your back office file system, maybe download it, maybe attach it to an email and send it, right? A lot of that stuff's gone. It'll be click, share. So we think this is going to be a major, major breakthrough. And this is complemented by a couple other pieces I want to show you today. So before I get there, let me go ahead and point this out. Many of you are probably thinking, this is great, but I have a lot of documents, I have a lot of history in blank system. We've been working and taking a look at systems that range from Dropbox, Box, Drive, ShareFile, File Cabinet CS, etc. We've been looking across the range. We think we have really good ways to save many, many hours. We can probably automate 90% or more of the work, okay? And we'll help you migrate files if you have an interest in this at some point, okay? There's going to be a fair amount of manual work that we do in order to help map things by category and so forth. So we will be charging a small professional fee for that. And we'll get this work underway with our existing clients starting in October, okay? So I mentioned that we would be complementing the FileSafe functionality with additional features. We view this one as being a really important feature for you all. We've had a lot of asks for it. E-signatures, available next quarter, okay? For those of you who do tax work, the 8879 process will be fully IRS compliant, okay? So any requirements that require knowledge-based authentication, we're gonna use LexisNexis for that. It'll be baked in product. What's great about this feature, my favorite part, is that we're fully going to support templates. I'm going to show you that in the next slide. But that's going to be a major time saver because you'll be able to upload a single template and use it over and over. Okay. We're also going to be we'll be charging a little bit for this. I think almost all of you have a signature solution right now that you pay for every single month. We believe that model isn't so good economically, especially for those of you who do a lot of tax work or a lot of seasonal work. So it'll be a $1 per doc. You'll pay only for what you use. And I think you all know that we have a lot of features in our software already that you can use us for engagement letters, signatures, etc. for free. But if you want to use this particular template provider with KBA, $1 per doc, and we're going to pass through the LexisNexis charge for the KBA, which would be a couple more bucks. So pretty much industry standard on all that. It'll allow you to basically delete another piece of software from the firm. Okay, so instead of having documents in more places, documents in eSign, documents in a portal, etc., again, it collapses that into one place, not only for you, but also for your clients. Much easier, much less time wasted, and more secure, because again, we're not downloading a document from an eSign repository and putting it into our storage. We don't want to have those documents being downloaded as much anymore, right? This will make it much easier and much more secure. So let's take a look a little bit more deeply into the template piece. This is a sample template. I'm using some tax references today just because I think a lot of people are thinking about tax right now and how they're going to prepare for the 2019 tax filing season. Many people have, for example, tax questionnaires that they're sending out. A lot of people are using tax organizers. Historically, it's been a pretty big mess. And I think a lot of that stems from the notion that the clients have a hard time filling a lot of stuff out, right? So many firms have been moving towards a tax questionnaire, and we want to make that easy for the client. So what if you can upload a questionnaire, add checkboxes to it? So basically use yes, no checkboxes, selectively put in some text fields here and there when necessary, right? Make it super easy. Send this to the client. Their experience can be great. They'll get a mobile notification, log in on their app or log in on the browser, open the doc, tap, 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 type in some text, send it back to you. A lot easier, a lot cleaner, and likely going to be a lot faster for the firms to get all the information they need back from the client to stay on track, right? Much faster, much simpler. This isn't just for tax questionnaires. You can use it for onboarding forms. You can use it for anything that you're sending out to the client that you want to make sure that they get back to you quickly and easily. We think this can be a pretty big winner. And again, save the upload it, save the template, mark it up, that kind of thing. Use it over and over again. You'll even be able to send it out in bulk if you have, a lot of clients who need to get the same form at the same time. So big ad. This will come again next quarter. I'm going to turn our attention back to 8879s for just a moment here. This has been a really big pain point for many of you. So we want to remind you that there's going to be two modes for this now. Mode number one is going to be what our clients used last year, which is going to be print out the tax return, right? Have the client print out the 8879, Have the client print out the 8879. In my case, my wife and I would sign it at the kitchen table. I'd pull up the Listio app, take a picture of it, and it's back in your hands. We think that's a free loop, and that one's really, really successful. Our firms were wildly successful with it last year. We did want to acknowledge that some percentage of clients, maybe 1 in 5, are going to want to get in a fully electronic process, right? They don't have a printer at home, or they're just digital purists, right? Like to save trees, all sorts of good reasons for that. You'll have both modes now. The electronic signature, again, will be fully IRS compliant. I personally think you're going to want to have both because from what we've seen, the fail rates on a knowledge-based authentication track, the fail rates are probably on the 10 to 15% order, okay? So some people are going to be great with it, some people aren't. You're going to have both ways to handle your clients for the 2019 season. We think this will be really, really good for getting all this information back timely so you guys aren't as rushed. One more feature I wanted to call out today was the idea that we'll have a print driver for Listio in January, okay? This is going to allow you basically to use whatever software applications you're using today, and instead of printing to, let's say, a PDF on your computer and then uploading to Listio, you're going to skip all that. You're going to print directly to Listio. So you can be in, let's say, your tax software, hit print. Instead of picking a printer, a physical printer, you're going to pick Liscio. It'll call up this screen, the screen you just saw earlier, or a slight variation of this. You'll be able to type the contact and the accounts you want to print this file into. You'll be able to add your tags, and you'll be able to add a note, okay? Or a message, I should say. So if you're printing, let's say, a draft tax return, you'll be able to say, you know, dear Jane client, thank you for your business. Here's your draft return. You'll be able to do all that from this screen right here. So instead of having to print down to a file, having to open up email, having to attach something or anything like that, you're going to have basically all the email send or all the message send plus all the file management all in one place, okay, from one screen. Super easy. We think this will be a major, major time saver. And again, it'll make the firm a little more secure because there's fewer things being downloaded and uploaded. So we know that some vendors out there are going to allow you to easily transport a document within only their modules. We're changing the game. We're going to make it easy for you to work with any vendor you choose and have fewer clicks and less email risk. So those are the new features. I think I've been talking about them mostly through the eyes of the firm. Let's think about this through the eyes of your clients, which is probably the most important part. I think we know we live in the days of, you know, wanting to retain everybody we have, online reviews and so forth. So if we think about this through the client lens, we know what's happening today is typically pretty messy, and clients are asked to juggle a lot of different systems. People aren't going to be very good with that typically. We know that when you're using multiple systems, there's a lot of download, right? Download to desktop, et cetera, and upload. A lot of extra steps, right? A little less secure. That's not a great experience. We know that a lot of times the documents or the electronic signatures, whatever, might run on one platform, but the reasons why things were done a certain way or what's needed, et cetera, those runs on a different platform, typically email. That means context is entirely separate from the documents themselves. Not good. We want to bring that together, right? And we also know that clients want to text. And that's what's happening today, right? A lot of firms, probably 90% of the firms we work with, have some number of their staff texting clients directly. We think that's going to persist. So within the Liscio experience, we're continuing to drive towards one place, one habit, no need to download files, access from the web or from the mobile device. Obviously, the mobile device probably being the most dominant place to be right now, and it's probably going to stay that way. Keeping the context and the documents all together, and then obviously allowing your clients to message and not have to email or text you. Okay, so much better experience with these new features. It makes it even more compelling for your clients to want to make the move, which is really what we're driving for, right? I think it's hard to move a client. We know that, but it's only hard to move a client if they don't see what's in it for them. And we're adding more and more features that make it more and more obvious why this is where they want to be and where they should be. So I just wanted to kind of cover tax processes one more time, because I think a lot of you have been thinking about this and kind of working through what it's going to take as a firm, right, to get through the Liscio implementation and what it'll look like as you prepare for the 2019 filing season. We know that through Liscio, number one, you can send an engagement letter, right? Get that going. Then you can send your questionnaires, just using that template I showed you earlier. Then you know we have that robust document request process. We'll go ahead and send things out. We'll give them the mobile notifications. We can send the text message reminders. We also built, in case you haven't seen it recently, we built automated reminders. We'll send on Mondays if anything's due that week or overdue. We'll send a general reminder to their mobile phone saying, hey, these things are due, are becoming due, or are overdue. So that process works well. The client can always see what's outstanding. If we need to get a signature from them, 8879 or otherwise, do that all in the same platform as well. So just driving back to the mobile app every single time, super easy. And then when you're starting to deliver documents back, you can print directly from whatever software packages you're using, print them right in Liscio, super easy there. And Yeah, if you haven't seen this recently, call us. We'll walk you through it. We built a lot of features last year. We know partners in the firm tend to get a disproportionate number of the emails coming in or the messages coming in. We built some client service team features that are really helpful for distributing the load. So partners, instead of getting messages and having to constantly route them, they're able to direct them to the right people the first time. So we can show you those. And then we've had some interesting file archival workflows that allow firms, when they get a lot of documents in from a client, they'll be able to tell which files have already been touched and addressed by other people within the firm and which files are new. So we have a nice file workflow there. We can walk you through that as well. But end to end, we should be able to save you a significant number of hours of non-billable time, okay? And we should be able to basically smooth out the workflow a little bit better because we get answers back and forth from clients more quickly. So in summary, and we're gonna have plenty of time for questions, by the way. I think we'll have a half hour for questions. So in summary, as a company, in terms of development, I think we continue to move very fast. We basically will have delivered a comparable or better experience on the document sharing and management side than pretty much anything else out there. It's going to come out, it'll be really good. We're going to keep on working on it over the next several months to make sure it's probably the best document solution out there, period. We continue to focus on customer service and customer experience. We think we have a very, very strong lead there, as our clients would attest to. And we're continually striving for that 10x over anything else out there that's existing. We want this to be not just a little bit better, we want it to be so obviously head and shoulders better than anything else out there that your clients are going to be like, this is absolutely positively the right move. Thank you for moving us. Along with that is we want to narrow the number of systems you have. That'll really reduce the amount of back office overhead you have, as well as reduce your training complexity internally as you onboard new people. And it should reduce your direct costs in terms of software. So if we can do all that, put it all together, major time savings for you all. So those are really the big keys. And I'm hopeful you can see that. I hope that it all kind of hangs together and makes sense to you. And let's get into some questions. So I have Tim joining me today. Tim has been keeping an eye on what's been coming in. Feel free to throw questions at us. I'll do my best to answer them. Okay. Hi, Tim.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have one question here. We'd like to know if they could save client instruction videos in Liscio.
Probably an MP4 format, I would imagine. We have a 2 gig limit per file, so I can't imagine it's over 2 gigs. So my guess is yes, but we should talk about the specific formats and file sizes. We want to do that, though. We have an appetite for that. So let's talk about it and make sure we can support it for you.
Perfect. I'd also like to know that if there's going to be a timestamp when a client views a document or a video file so that they know that they've looked at what has been sent.
That probably ties into the audit trail. Who has viewed? Who has downloaded? We're probably interested in that. There's probably a lot of things with audit trail we're going to want to do. I would imagine we'll do that. I don't have anything from our product team on that yet, so we'll write that down. But I would imagine that'll be something we'd do. We would need to confirm that with product.
Also have questions about file sharing. Specifically about whether or not client access to documents stored under their account can be restricted.
Client access restrictions. So I think the answer to that's a clear yes. The way it'll work is when you share a document with a client. So let's say one of your clients has four team members and you only share it with one. What we're going to do is we're going to allow that team member on their side to share it with other team members. So we share it with team member 1 and they decide to share it with 2, 3, 4. we will allow that, and we will show you that it's been shared with 1, 2, 3, 4 by using those bubbles I was showing you earlier. Okay, so I think the answer there is, in general, just like email, you can send it to just one person, only that one person can see it, but they can, in essence, quote unquote, add others just like they would if they were to forward the email. Okay, but you will be able to see whom it's been shared with, and you'll be able to pull it back.
Right, and that would be in addition to the ability to have internal only files that only employees would see.
Correct. Yeah, that's very important. That's very important. Right now, or in our first foray into file management, we operated under the thesis that anything that was added to an account would be visible to the firm and to the account owner. We are now giving you, with FileSafe, the ability to have firm-only files. So you can have all of your back office perm files in there, and we'll make it very clear that these are firm-only, and those bubbles, they don't have any bubbles for your clients there. You'll be able to sort and filter by firm-only files very, very easily. Okay, so that'll all be there at launch.
Right, and also to have a question regarding making sure we're clarifying on the internal sharing, because we are seeing some of those associated with, we're seeing some employees in there that they don't need to associate files with all people internally. It may be associated with a couple people, but they don't need to do that. Everyone will have visibility.
Yeah, we'll be going deeper and deeper into permissions as we go. The initial tack will be just as it is today. Inside the firm, everybody in the firm can have access. We view that as that's been very effective for our clients thus far. That allows people in the firm to help one another out, right? I can go in there, I can see what's happening, I can deliver service. Somebody else is out on vacation, or we're really busy. We're going to continue to add layers to that, which will allow you to narrow the scope of who can see the document. For example, some clients might want only people on the client service team to be able to see a document or to see documents. We'll give you controls that allow you to continue to narrow things down. We'll even give you control over time that allow you to basically select only a couple of people, but that won't be the default case. The default case will be when something's added. If a client uploads a file and you need to get a W-2 from or something like that, our thought is that most people in the firm should be able to see that. So that's how we're going to start. Okay. So just think of it as we're starting wide, and we'll give you more and more tools to narrow things down inside the firm.
Also have questions about dragging documents out of Lisio.
Okay.
Will we be able to drag documents to our desktop or another folder on our PC?
Yes.
Very wordy on that one.
Yeah, that's a simple one.
Will FileSafe just have static PDFs, or will it support all file types of live documents, Excel, etc., for true client collaboration? We
intend to support essentially all types of documents. So here are the caveats that we see thus far. When we get an image file, many of you can't use image files because of the tax software. It demands PDFs. So we automatically convert JPEGs and GIFs and that kind of thing into a PDF. We already do accept most other file types, everything from QuickBooks backup files to Excel files, any kind of Microsoft Office file, et cetera. We accept all of them right now. We do know that there's a widget we need to put in there. It won't be there day one, but it's very high on our radar, which is the ability to open an Office document without having to download it. So you know our thesis and our stance. We don't want people to have to download stuff if at all possible. So Microsoft offers a widget which allows you to basically launch and work in the Office suite and then save the file back to the place where it came from. We are looking hard at that already. So we anticipate being able to address that sooner than later. If there are other file types we haven't covered, we'll take a look at them as we go. But we view that as being really important to have sooner than later.
Perfect. Also, is there ability to include client numbers? Many clients have very similar entity names, and the separate number helps make sure we're hitting the correct contact/group. To which
we have numbers in the account section. So we have client name and client ID. So I think what people are wanting to do is be able to, I think what the question is let's say we're uploading a file, to type in the client ID instead of the client name. Does that sound right? Probably is that case.
yes.
I think there's in our case, that's possible. There's a two-part key though, because we're not just uploading to a client ID, right? We're uploading, and this helps keep you safer. And we've seen this a lot with email. I mean, I think this is probably, I can't imagine there are many people who haven't had this happen to them before. But with email, you just type in somebody's name, and you might have more than one Jim in your address book. You type in Jim, and you hit send. It might go to the wrong Jim. Probably doesn't happen very often, but it might happen. One of the reasons why Liscio is a bit better in terms of accuracy, in terms of recipient, is we have a contact name and an account. So it's a two-part key, right? So chances are, if you put in the wrong Jim, you're going to see the wrong account and catch it, right? And vice versa. If you put in the wrong client ID, you're going to see the wrong client name, and you're probably going to catch it. But if you wanted to have us allow a client ID type in, I think that's smart. I don't think that'd be a problem. We'll take a look at that.
Also have a question about the file migration. It says, what is your process for migrating a large volume of data?
Well, that's a trade secret. Now, here's the deal. What we know is this. We're fortunate because we're working with the accounting profession, and the accounting profession has, I would say, some of the best file organization, bar none. What we typically see is we see files that are arranged by client name/client ID. They're arranged by year, sometimes by month as well, and by topic. So you might have things that are tax, you might have financials, you might have backup, you might have perm files. There's a lot of things that are relatively consistent. What we've done is we've created really two pieces that are helpful here. One is we have a way to mass extract data and to put it somewhere where we can get at it. Okay. Sometimes it takes, depending on the system, the amount of work for the client may vary. A lot of systems that have, for example, a C drive folder backup where everything is basically accessible in the C drive, we can pull it in very, very easily. With something like File Cabinet, we have ways to extract data by exporting entire drawers at once with the folder name, or they call it the drawer name, I think, with the drawer name and the client ID all in the file name for the entire drawer that we export. Okay, so FCCS would be export by drawer. Most others would be put on C drive. We'll pull all that into our system. And then we have mapping tools that will take the folder names, if you will, and basically help create the folder or the tagging structure in our system. And then we'll call out any exceptions, and we'll have some tools that will help reconcile the exceptions. So really that's it in a nutshell. I think we're the only firm doing that, but we have seen horror stories. I heard of a couple last year where people did file migration from one system to another, and it might have taken an absolute whole team push for weeks to get everything done. We think it's going to take a fraction of that time. And we're going to help. We're going to put our professional service team on it. And we think we can automate not all of the work, but at least the vast majority of it.
Hey, who will have permissions to delete or remove files from FileSafe?
Only the firm.
And if a client is trying to send an email or send one of these files to someone else, how do they get documents out?
Two pieces there. One, they would download and put it in email. We are looking very hard at, and it's high on our roadmap. We're going to allow them to first send files to other people in their organization, and then later they'll be able to invite other people, such as a banker, and be able to, basically, they'll have a button in there that says share securely. They'll be able to forward that out to a banker on their own from their side. So we think that'll be the holy grail. That way you'll give them the documents, they can share it any way they want, and they can call back, recall documents and so forth. They'll be able to use it as a DMS on their side. Very high on our radar.
Yeah, what if clients still want to, email if they, if they want to?
I think there might be some reasons to email, not many, right? Not many. I think from a practical perspective, this probably has a lot to do with the attitude of the firm, right? So if a firm wants to accept an email from a client, they can do that. I mean, I think that's a matter of perspective. I think there might be some cases where that happens, but in general, if you think about what's best for the firm in terms of security, in terms of process efficiency and so forth, email tends to fall towards the bottom of the list, right? And clients tend to know now more than ever that email isn't safe for business, right? The IRS says you can't, send things, insecurely. The American Bar Association says the same thing. Now I think we're in the age of regulation now, right? We're working with more and more companies in Europe that have more stringent regulations. We're now in the age of the California Consumer Privacy Act, right? There's more and more stuff here that's starting to triangulate, saying that we can't take people's information and treat it as if it's public, right? You have to put reasonable measures in place. So I think there's this whole one side, which is this whole compliance side, which is becoming more and more powerful, that it's going to keep on nudging people away from email. The second thing is, if you have a client, if we were to ask let's say a firm were to ask all of its clients, hey, how many of you like email? There probably wouldn't be many hands at all that go up, right? The reason why people do it is probably out of inertia rather than out of a desire. Like, we don't email our friends or our family anymore, right? We do everything on messaging. So I think there might be some just momentum that carries email forward for a little bit, but I don't think anybody says like, hey, how many people here think email is a great experience? It simply isn't going to elicit many cheers, right? So I think the question is, as a firm, the firm has to make a decision, right? Is email a great experience? Probably not. Is it a safe experience? Definitely not. Do our clients do it just because, they've done it before? Probably. Should we nudge them? Yes, we certainly should nudge them. So I think firms are going to make that call, independently, but most firms have gone to Listio, have been down the checklist and said, look, there's really no reason just to not move everybody. Let's do it. So that though is something that I think each firm's got to assess independently. And if you want to have some outliers, I think it's okay. You're going to have outliers for people who have clamshell phones. You have outliers for people who are going to drive to the office. I mean, those are, I call them the Campbell's soup people, right? They eat Campbell's soup, right? Young people aren't eating any Campbell's soup. There's a generation that are, right? What are you going to do? It's just a different thing. But you have your Campbell's soup type customers that'll keep on doing that until they age out, right? But there are ways around it. There might be a little bit of a gray area in between where some people are doing email, but I can't imagine many would persist.
How difficult is it for clients to get their Listio accounts set up initially, and what's the process for that look like?
That's super easy. I think that's a part we feel really comfortable with. The number one thing, and this is where I probably can't stress this enough. The client needs to know why you're asking them to do this. If they don't see a reason why, if they don't see anything in it for them, then it's just something else for them to do, right? But I think once they understand, um, and I think there's really good reasons for this, or really good proxies in the market. Um, Once you understand that you're acting like a bank, right? If you use Chase Bank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, whatever, you get an app and everything happens there. Banks moved everybody off of email. Banks used to email. Banks never email now, right? Because it's super, super insecure. So your clients are likely already have the same behavioral set with a financial institution of their choice, right? So it's a pretty easy ask. Once they know what's in it for them, why you're doing it, and we help you with the emails, we help you with email footers, we help you with email responses, we help you with social media, we help you in every way to get the word out to them. We'll do unlimited training for you. We'll do unlimited training for your clients. There's once you understand the why, then it's really, really easy. In terms of steps, you put their mobile number in, you can send a text message that has a link to install the mobile app. We take them right to the appropriate app store. They install it, and we ask them to confirm their name, confirm their mobile phone number, and make sure that they know that you'll be text messaging them. They agree to those things, and they're in. It couldn't be easier. That part's very fast. And obviously, they can do all that online too. They can do it on the web or on their phone or both. So super simple.
You actually just answered this, but I think it's worth asking and answering again. Who provides technical support for clients?
Yeah, we do. We're happy to. And we want to do it for a couple of reasons. One is your time. If you think about how much time people have been spending probably on your side to support a portal or to resend documents or anything like that, it's significant. And we know your time is worth, hundreds of dollars per hour. We can do it very, very quickly. And if we do it, if there's anything in the process that's confusing, we have a massive incentive to fix it. And we've heard a lot of you have had stories coming back to us saying, I can't call up my software provider because they're going to bill me over $100 an hour to ask them a question about their product when something isn't working. I think fundamentally, we think that's entirely unfair. It's not going to lead to the best product. It's going to leave a really bad taste in people's mouth. It just doesn't make any sense to us. We think customer service should be free for all. It's on the incumbent provider. If we want to be in business, right? If we want to be in business as a company, we need to outperform everybody's expectations. So that's the mode we're in, and we know it works.
Yeah. As a follow-up to that, what are the hours for support, and are they U.S. based?
Yeah, we are U.S. based. Everybody's onshore in the U.S. We have East Coast and West Coast. So Tim is joining us today from Indiana. I'm in California. We have both coasts covered. So on the Pacific time frame, I think we are 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So good coverage.
And yeah, we are available via chat as well as email and over the phone.
Yeah, that's the best part. If you look at us, if you just go to listio.me and look at our website, we put our chat there for everybody. So even if your end clients go there, they'll see that. They can hit the chat button, and you'll see that if they can start talking. Anybody can talk to us. We are highly, highly accessible.
What about using Listio as an option for sharing files to third parties, for instance, bankers, people who are clients but are not clients but are requesting information to be sent via email traditionally? Can
do. Absolutely. Just share, just like we showed today. I added Han Solo in the demo. Han Solo might be the banker, might be the tax attorney, might be anybody, a state attorney, whatever it might be. You'll have access to you have the ability to share that out with them. And if something were to change, oh, yeah, we're not doing that bank loan anymore, you'd be able to recall that document from that banker. So, email is, we put something on email, it's out there. It's in the email box forever, right? Super, super dangerous kind of a habit. We're sharing essentially within Listio, and you can add and recall.
When you discuss something internally between employees, is that visible to the client?
No, not at all. Internal notes, internal files, internal messages, not visible to the client. And that's a big part of this, right? I spent some time today talking about oversharing. I'll bet, I'm hopeful not many of you have seen this, but we've had a lot of clients have come to us saying, hey, we use blank system for documents, and we just had a problem. Such and such client saw everything, right? Because of the way that those folder structures work. And I was kind of showing you how it's really unclear who sees what. It's a big, big problem. What we're trying to do is say, look, any file, for example, you can see exactly, you can see it. So if you ever go there and say, oh my gosh, why is a client on this? You'll be able to go ahead and address it right away. We're going to help you stop oversharing or prevent oversharing. The second thing is anything internal messaging wise, you'll see exactly who gets it. And we only show clients things that they are specifically included on in the to field. Okay.
To bounce back to earlier in the conversation for a moment, clarification, we were just checking on our tutorial videos are about 50 megabytes. So really easy, especially if you're talking about short clips. But we also have a question about best practices regarding things like clients who have the exact same name, but they're not related. So if you have two Howard Johnsons, the best way of how does Liscio deal with that?
Yeah. Yeah. So if you look at our contact list, we show their name. We also show their email address, their phone number, et cetera. So it'd be similar to if you're looking in your own, if I were looking at my contact list and I have two Jim Smiths, hey, I'd see two Jim Smiths, but I have a way of mentally recognizing it. What's more important about how we do things in Listio is, unlike email and unlike pretty much every other system, we allow you to relate the contact name to an account. So you might have Jim Smith, who's part of Acme Corporation, another Jim Smith, who's part of Zydeco Corporation, right? You're going to be able to tell when you pick. What I would do is when I go into Listio, I'd pick, if I want Zydeco, I'd pick Zydeco first, and then it'll only show you the Jim Smith associated with Zydeco. It won't show you the Jim Smith associated with Acme. So I would pick client first and do it that way. So super easy way to help stay essentially in the right lane when you're communicating, right? It's that two-part key, account and client, every time.
Also had a couple questions about pricing, what the price per user is.
Our price per user has not changed. If you talked to us before, we think our pricing is very reasonable. You can talk to us again. We'll quote it out for your firm. But I think what's important to know about this is we know we're adding a lot of value. We know I think when we're successful, we've proven we can reduce the tech footprint, the tech stack, explosion inside of firms. As we continue to reduce that, we'll probably start pricing increasing our price for new customers. So we've never raised price for existing customers. We're very, very grateful for everybody who signed up thus far. So all of our existing customers and customers who sign up before the price increase are going to get our current low price. We will be increasing that over time, though, as we continue to absorb more and more features from others. So if this makes sense for you, I'd recommend talking to us sooner than later, and we'll walk you through today's pricing, where it's likely to go price-wise, et cetera. But I think to get our best, to secure our lowest pricing, it's always good to talk to us earlier than later.
So I'm going to bundle a couple questions here. What does the future of integrations look like, APIs, that sort of thing?
We're going to announce our first integration. I would imagine we'll pre-announce our first integration sometime in the first quarter. We're always interested in what systems you all want us to integrate with. A lot of the requests we get are to integrate with systems that are basically walled gardens where the other side is trying to trap your data. So not a whole lot we can do in those cases, but there are a lot of other fairly interesting things we're up to on the integration front. So I would say that it's going to be system specific. We do have an appetite, but what we're looking for in general are common denominator solutions that take security very seriously. So if it's a smaller integration or if it's with a company that just doesn't take security seriously, we're going to be very, very careful about how we address those. Okay.
So I have, what about back to file sharing and migration? They have people who have files all over the place, Dropbox, share file, internal servers, Google Drive, how can we help people consolidate what they're currently doing?
Oh boy. I guess the answer is that's not uncommon. That's not uncommon. We've been looking at this problem a couple different ways, and I think we can help you with that in general. There are some systems we really don't like, right? I'll give you one example is DocuSign. DocuSign makes it basically impossible for clients to download their documents. There's no bulk download. They make you, I think they want to trap your documents, so they make you download one by one. So those are gonna be tough. There's gonna be other ones that are pretty darn easy. I think easy ones are gonna be SmartVault. Easy ones are gonna be ShareFile. Easy ones are gonna be Dropbox, Box. I think, so if you have them a bunch of different places, I would say talk to us. We'll walk you through the specific steps for each one. And what we'll do is we'll basically help you, let's say you have them in 4 or 5 different places. We'll help you aggregate them from the 4 or 5 different places into one place first. That's step number 1. Then what we'll do is we'll work on the mapping to normalize everything, right? Normalize exactly where they go, how they're going to be structured in Liscio. And then when you're happy with that structure, then we'll bring everything to Liscio in one swoop, okay? So it's not that hard. It's not necessarily harder to get things out of 4 or 5 different places. It's mostly going to be where are they, and then what is the process to get them out of that system. So we're gaining a lot of confidence on those fronts right now, but we'll be able to let's sit down and talk about that, and we'll walk you through what we can do.
Also, sort of a similar follow-up there. Talk about tagging versus traditional folder structure.
Yeah, well, you saw the problems with folder structure earlier, right? And this is important, right? If you go back to folder structure and nobody's nailed it. I mean, you think about how things are shared and what people are doing. It's brutal, and people are in a box, right? Dropbox, 3 members, 5 members, right? Folder structure is inherently flawed from a sharing perspective. If you use ShareFile, what they do is they don't allow this. If it says 3 members, there's always 3 members. But if you want to add a banker, what you have to do is you have to create an entirely new folder, add the banker to it, and then share it, right? So there's a lot of stuff in here that if you're thinking about storage, folders are great. If you're thinking about collaboration, which is, if you think about a lot of the questions, hey, I want to share this out with somebody, or I want to recall it. It's really, really, really hard to do in these systems. So, and it certainly is not transparent. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to basically build a new fabric for collaboration. And our view is the only way to do that is tags, and tags work like folders, but instead of visually representing them as a folder, instead of doing this visual representation, we do a filter, and the filter might have, these are all topics, right? These are tags. You have your admin tag, your financial planning analysis tag, your diligence materials tag, whatever it is. You just pick the tag you want, and it gives you whatever's in that quote unquote folder. It's exactly the same thing. It just has a different feel to it. And that different feel is really, really, really important for collaboration. Helps your clients find things faster and allows you to stay out of these pit traps where things don't make sense. So it's a change, but we also know that in a collaborative world, it is the future. And so we're bringing that to you right now.
Yeah, we're running out of time, but as a follow-up to that, Liscio, in terms of replacing file cabinets, so far as keeping their internal notes hidden from clients, I was just trying to get a better sense of how that would work.
Yeah, we've got a couple hundred clients using File Cabinet, and we've had an inordinate number of them once say they want to move off of it. So we have a few features in there already. So Liscio has a notes feature, which allows you to put internal notes, and you can create as many different topics as you want. You can attach files to the notes, right? And it's really good for, let's say you have internal policies and procedures for that client. You can have monthly close procedures. You can have tax return notes. You can have any kind of different notes and attach everything to them. Those are all only viewable by the firm. And if you see a file that's attached to a note, you can see the files. Our files section has a I can show it to you actually right here. Our file section has something here. This is part of a message. I probably have something here that's attached to a note. Here, this is my internal notes document. It's attached to a note. If I click on that, it'll take me straight to the note. So we're starting to put all the context with the documents together. So the idea here is, it's taking a second. The idea here is that we can actually put all this stuff together for you in one place. Okay. So I think it probably logged me out. Yeah, I gotta log back in to show you, but you get the gist. Notes and files are interrelated, accessible either direction. You can look at the note and see the files, or look at the file and see the note. And we'll be continuing to make that more robust as a lot of our FCCS clients come over and give us more feedback. Lots of questions. I think we're right at the hour, so we do this. I'll let everybody go, but if you have questions, Tim and I are here to help you. We can walk you through anything in more detail. Just let us know, okay? And I do want to thank you all. I know this is a lot of time out of your day, so thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it, and we hope to talk to you soon.